Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me in the Locher Room for another Author's Afternoon. I'm Alan Locher. Sydney Rice wears many titles, wife, mom, and at the top of her list, this month she was able to add author and publisher to that list. A Brooklyn, New York native who can be rest assured that her 20 plus years of climbing the corporate ladder led to this very important moment. Syrina's credentials include a BA in forensic psychology and an MS in business. Business management and leadership. While serving in a variety of leadership roles as a financial services professional, she has been recognized as a diversity, inclusion, and equity champion. Now inspired by her 3 children and a slew of nieces and nephews, and with the overwhelming support of her family and friends, she jumped at the opportunity to step away from corporate America to write and publish the books that she's been looking for out there in the marketplace. This month, she released her debut children's book, Hey Mama, inspired by her daughter's very own Black Girl Magic. Her 7-year-old daughter, Sydney, will join us later in the show, and this is just the beginning for this new author and publisher. Please welcome to the Locher Room, Syrina Rice. I get tongue twisted. My apologies for messing up the introduction, but
no, you're fine.
Thank you for being here. Congratulations on your new book. It's got to be really exciting to see it.
I know it is. Thank you for having us, Alan. It's a pleasure to be on this platform, and
you're so welcome.
Having a conversation.
Well, so tell me about your childhood, and were you an avid reader yourself?
I most definitely was. It was one of my favorite pastimes. In fact, when people would ask what my hobbies were, I'd say reading. And it wasn't as fun as sports or any other physical activity or anything requiring any real skill, but it's what I love to do. I loved reading anything from fiction to nonfiction. And I grew up in a household of readers. So my mom and my brothers loved to read, and you could always find any of us in a quiet corner somewhere with a book.
That's awesome. Have you passed it down to all 3 of your children?
My oldest had a moment. Sydney definitely loves the bedtime stories. And our middle son, he likes to read sometimes, but I think we're competing with technology in a way that
that we didn't have. Yeah, we certainly did not have that. Not that I was an avid reader. I definitely watched too much television, but I think I like reading more today than I did back then. Is there a book that you recall that made a big impact on you, whether in childhood or as an adult?
Yeah, I can answer that question. As a child, the very first book that made an impact on me was Horton Hears a Who by Dr. Seuss.
Of course.
It was the first book that I think I'd read completely on my own. And I realize now as an adult how many pages Dr. Seuss books actually had. There's so many pages. And when you pick one as a bedtime story, you will be reading for a very long time.
That's so funny.
But it was just pretty exciting because it was the first book I had checked out of the public library on my own, had to return on my own, and read on my own. And so that has always made an impact of me. And the love of Dr. Seuss books is something that I definitely pass down to my children. One of Sydney's favorite books as a baby, I'd say, as a young child, a board book, picture book, was Are You My Mother? And she loved that, and she actually memorized that. So
oh, wow.
It's kind of cool to pass that down.
Were you going to say adult as an adult?
Yes, that was. I think the book that had the most impact on me as an adult was the autobiography of Malcolm X, told in his own words, through interviews with Alex Haley. I picked it up as maybe a junior, senior in high school. So I don't know if that counts as an adult, but it really changed the way I viewed language. It gave me language to describe some of the things that I felt and experienced. And it was an overall impactful read.
Interesting. Well, before we bring Sydney out and you say about some of the things you experienced, I'd be remiss, it is Black History Month.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the, if you don't mind, I think it's important for people to hear some of the things you may have experienced or led to that book having such an impact on your life.
Yeah, I think when you grow up as a teen, you start, looking for yourself in the world, images of yourself, representation of yourself, a like experience that someone is having, something that just confirms that you're not alone or you're not crazy. And,
yeah.
I was able to find that, I think, as a woman and as a female in quite a few of the books that I was reading, even in something as simple as a Danielle Steele book, just identifying with feelings of love and, crushes and things like that. But, some of the microaggressions that you deal with, riding the New York City subway, or teachers that have different expectations of you that don't quite match your capabilities or feel like you're being held to a different standard. And I'm generalizing on purpose because I know we don't have a ton of time.
Right. No, I understand. But
to find the language, to see the language that confirmed that is not a unique experience to me alone,
right.
was pretty powerful.
We were talking backstage about books, representation in books, mm-hmm. and other Black characters. Did you find those when you were a kid, or are you seeing more of those today than there were then?
I cannot remember a single children's book, maybe except Corduroy, where there was a Black lead character in the book that I necessarily identified with. Most of the children's books I remember had animals as characters, and it is a safe route to go. But stepping into this self-publishing indie author world, publisher world, there are a ton of books out there. Unfortunately, you don't find a machine behind producing these, marketing these. One of the things I know we talked about backstage was, you pride yourself on doing it on your own. You write the book, which is a huge accomplishment. You start to seek out creatives and freelancers to help you bring your vision to life. And you accomplish that. And that feels really good. And then you have this beautiful baby and you have no idea how to market it. And right. Then I think one of the challenges for me as an author was just trying to figure out that, I'm part of the product.
Mm-hmm.
So you become the product, and most people don't see themselves that way. And well, maybe not, at least from my generation.
Right. But I'm glad, you're talking about that you didn't see that representation back then, but there are more and more. But it was interesting because you did say it was interesting that there were Black characters being written by white people, right? Is that what you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I did have an author on recently too, who just put out her first children's book. It's a little older than yours. It's more like I'd say like a Harry Potter adventure, but still with representation. It's not just a Black, but she's a Black author who wanted to see her, just like you, wants to see representation in those books, which, as a gay man, I wanted to see representation when I was growing up, and there was none of that on television. Today it's a whole different, ball of wax, but it is important. It does help you as a kid, I think, become a fuller person by seeing that. Mm-hmm. Was this story or the idea to write always in the back of your mind?
Not this story particularly, but I am a journaling person. I have several journals. I always joke that my children will have tons to read about all the different things that I experienced at some point in my life. But I've always been more interested in the story of other people in my family. my family is, like most families, a cast of characters. And my grandparents specifically, I really wanted to write stories about them because they share their history in bits and pieces. And I thought, how cool would it be to have something documented about their lives to share with generations to come? Because that's the other thing I think for, that's a part of the Black experience is, these missing histories. We have oral histories that are passed down, but there is so much more to the Black experience than the slave experience. So I wanted to document that. And then I began to look, because COVID gave me very little choice, spending quite a bit of time, focusing on my normal. And Sydney by far is the most entertaining person in our household.
I love that. Can't wait till she comes out then. Before we bring her out though, you've had an interesting career. Can you just talk about your career path? I mean, I was so amazed to see that forensic thing. And where did that come from?
I was always curious in why people do things and motivations. So I knew I wanted to do something that pertained to psychology. Wow. And forensic psychology, for some reason, really appealed to me. I think I wanted to solve crimes. I wanted to try to make people and families whole. And the more that I got into the actual study of it, I realized that it's such a broad field. You can do anything from working with, children who are in state custody to actually working for the FBI as a profiler with that kind of background. And when I realized how broad it was, I really leaned towards helping people and, kind of not really behind a desk, but wanted to be kind of boots on the ground, but never quite took the leap into social work. I did do a stint as a guardian ad litem. As a child representative in court, you get sworn in and everything. And you're the child's voice in the courtroom, mostly.
What does litem mean or stand for?
It's, I believe, a Latin word. We refer to it as a GAL, but it's one of those legal terms. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I jumped into that as soon as I moved to Charlotte and had, various cases from, drug addicted born babies that I had to spend time with to, pre-adolescent kids who were in foster care as well, who I would visit with and attend their court dates with them.
Wow. Fascinating. And now a children's author.
Now a children's author.
Yes. Should we bring Sydney in?
We should, because Sydney is creating as we speak. She's literally doing something with paper towels over here. So I'll interrupt you from doing that and come have a seat.
Well, come join us. Sydney's the inspiration for Hey Mama. Hi. You got to move over a little more so we can see your beautiful face. Get closer to Mom.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I like it a lot.
A lot?
Yeah.
You like that she's got your name?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mom, tell us, I know Sydney inspired the story, but tell us about it.
So the story pretty much just details a typical day in our household now that we're all here together. Sydney is in our bed and, loves to share how comfy it is when she pops in there, loves to add pillows, and imagines that she's on a cloud. So she's made those references before. So that's kind of where the story opens. Like at the start of the day, here she is.
Every day.
Yeah, she's gotten better. My poor husband, I'm sure he wishes she spent more time in her own bed. But, she loves to get kind of cozy with us. And, she loves cooking. She loves baking. One of her favorite things to do is to fry eggs.
Yes.
So she calls herself, what do you call yourself?
Egg master.
Tell them.
Egg master.
Egg master. What's your favorite thing to bake?
I like to bake cake.
Oh, I like to eat cake.
Come on, silly.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's great that you're doing. I mean, at 7 years old to be doing those things and learning those things. It's great. You may end up being a chef someday.
Yeah.
Yes. And she's so encouraged to do these things. She bakes with my grandmother. She bakes with my aunt. My mom made her very own reversible apron.
That's awesome.
So we encourage it.
So the book really is about creativity.
It is. It is.
And
I
it's
think
Syd the what? Sydney? Syd the what?
Kreative.
Syd the Kreative. Exactly.
And she's literally dubbed herself that. I made a remark once about, geez, you're such a creative. And so she just owned it. And anytime I ask her something very similar to the mom in the book, how'd you do this? How'd you do that? And she goes, I'm just a creative. So,
hey, I mean, to teach somebody at 7, boy or girl, confidence like that is great. And to use their imagination and be creative is the best way, especially we know this has not been the most, the easiest time for them.
Yeah.
So to have that exploration has got to be great. And also for her to see you, turn this into,
yes.
Is a great thing, because
she loves it. She's the first person I read the story to after I wrote it, and she just wanted to hear it over and over again. I think she was a little disappointed because when the book came, she thought that she was going to get author credit as well. And I tried to show her, you got a special dedication. But we're excited because in the next book, she's actually going to get illustrator credit. So.
Oh, that's awesome. And so you have other ideas in mind to take the character further?
Absolutely.
I do.
You do too?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's about flying.
Flying?
Yeah.
Oh.
We have to have a meeting about this.
Creative meeting. A creative meeting. Sydney, are you taking pen to paper and writing yourself? Do you like to write?
Yeah.
Yeah. You should start journaling like your mom.
I would rather do pictures.
Pictures? Hey, nothing wrong with being an artist. Speaking of the art, you found Essence Klein Cole to illustrate the book. How did you go about finding Essence?
So I did. I searched a couple of freelance sites. Fiverr was first, and I was a little hesitant to kind of jump in on Fiverr. Upwork felt a little bit more comfortable for me. Mm-hmm. So I put a bid out there with as much detail about my project as I could. And in doing so, I got a couple of responses. And it was really important to me to select an African-American illustrator as well. And I had a different illustrator respond as well. And Essence was the first to come back with kind of a mock-up of what he thought the character would look like based off of my description. He was so encouraging. He was so easygoing. And for a first-time author, not necessarily knowing what questions to ask to make sure it comes out right. And he was extremely patient. And it was pretty collaborative. It was very easy to work with him. So easy that we're definitely going to stick with him for the rest of the Syd the Kreative series, just to, one, keep the character consistent, but because there's such great energy.
Do you remember, Sydney, seeing the artwork for the first time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah. I loved
it. Does it look like you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do
you keep that in your room?
Yes.
He asked if you have it in your room.
Mm-hmm. I stole
it. You stole it. Well, I think Mom would give you a copy. How long were you working on this?
Years.
It wasn't years. I actually had finished writing the story in July. I literally kept a notepad by the bed and woke up one morning and just wrote it down. I asked my husband, how does this sound? And then I read it to Syd, and then I read it to my kids. Then I read it to my mom and my brothers and my friends, and everybody's like, yeah, I think you have something. And I was like, I do. So after that, I said, okay, well, let me see what the next step is. And I did a children's book boot camp that I found advertised on Facebook. And it was pretty awesome. So I learned quite a few things from that boot camp, but most importantly, found a cool community to share ideas with and bounce things off. And I would say the book was done.
That's really great. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, because Facebook has its ups and downs, but there are some really great things. I mean, just being able to learn, you were able to find something that helped, educate you to do this in a way that you wanted to.
Yes. And Crystal Swain Bates, I'm sorry, was the leader of this great community and the facilitator of the training. And, she publishes, children's books as well. And, just wanted to share the steps to make it possible for others to follow, in her footsteps. And I'm super appreciative for that.
That's really great to hear that somebody's willing to share what their knowledge to help. Oh. What was the hardest thing for you to figure out?
The hardest thing to figure out is still being figured out, and it's the marketing.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm getting people for connections and platforms like this. But that's the real learning curve for me.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it's kind of, I'm doing this show solo, and it's finding ways to, let people know that there are, these opportunities. And it's interesting because, I started this interviewing more celebrities. So, these don't necessarily get as many views, but I do think if people found them, they are interesting because you're introduced to new authors, new ideas for somebody who might want to do exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
So there's, it's interesting, but it is the same thing. You have to learn as you go along and hope people share those, share it, everybody should help each other to succeed. Right. And tell us, you and your husband, Darrell, created Rice Love Tree Publishing with the sole purpose of creating a platform to share beautiful stories that promote the positive themes woven into the complexity of the Black experience. Can you talk about deciding to create the publishing arm as well?
Yeah. So I knew I wanted to be self-published because I wanted to get something to market fairly quickly. And we talked about, how we would do this. And again, just did a bunch of research and engaged with other people who were doing something similar and just having this sense of community and learning about that. And it was really important to launch a platform because we are a blended family. We are products of blended families. And there's so many, I would say, popular, not necessarily positive stereotypes about blended families and the drama that comes along with it. And although we're still figuring that out, I think we can definitely share our experience as we learn those things. There are complex relationships in every community. I just think that the things that are sometimes really popular that really get a platform about the Black experience are not necessarily the most positive. And so we have this story, we have our story, but I know so many other stories. And I think I'm a connector by nature. And it's been my goal to create a platform where others can also share their stories as well.
Well, I love how your name plays into it with, rice and love. And what's the tree represent?
Just staying rooted, trees grow, branches. And if it's a love tree, that's the foundation of it. We don't know how big this is going to get, but it is foundational. It's rooted. It's here. And we want it to be here to stay.
I love that. That's really Great. How's school going for you?
Good.
What's your favorite subject?
Math.
Ooh, interesting. Do you have to read a lot for school?
No, not a lot.
Syrina, you also told me when we were talking on the phone, tell us about the challenge you've given yourself.
So I've challenged myself with reading at least one book a month. It gets pretty difficult. It was difficult having a full-time job. You know, I was in school for the past 3.5 years pursuing my master's degree. To find time to do personal or leisure reading was really difficult. And so I've been finding time to do that and just committing. You know, to some people, they can probably finish, one book in 2 weeks. For me, however, one book a month feels like a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, I'm not a fast reader, so I understand it takes.
Yeah,
it's
like a form of self-care.
It really is, and it's so great to do it. Do you read every day, Syrina?
I
Sydney?
do.
Sorry, Sydney.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Is there a book next to your bed you like to read?
No, but sometimes in games I have to read to get past the question. So basically, it's on Roblox, Mommy. It's a game called Read.
Okay. We're competing with technology here.
Oh yeah. What's your favorite technology that you use?
Phone.
Oh. Do you like to use the phone? Do you talk on the phone or you play games on the phone?
I talk on the phone.
Okay. Well, that's good because not a lot of people talk on the phone anymore.
Yeah. She's a huge fan of speakerphone. And she
FaceTime. I never FaceTime any of my friends. I never regular called any of my friends, only FaceTime.
Okay, FaceTime, which means we can all hear their conversations. She loves group chats with her 2 besties, her cousin Gia and her friend Journey.
Sticky Nickies.
And the book is available on, where I had it up on your website, but through Amazon, right?
Yes.
Check it out on Amazon for sure. And what's the next story?
So the next story I'm really excited about. I think I wish I had been able to publish it this month. So the next story is Syd gets an assignment in school to basically do a self-portrait. And in trying to do the very best job she can with that, she learns about 4 Black artists. So she's introduced to Basquiat, she's introduced to Carol Walker, she's introduced to Kadir Nelson and Kahindi Raleigh. And, these are artists with very distinct styles. And so it just goes through her learning about the history of some of these Black artists and their styles and coming into her own with understanding that she has a perspective as well.
I mean, I shouldn't assume, but the way you said, I wish I had published it this month. Did you mean for Black History Month?
Yes.
Because, right there, that sounds like, just an amazing history class.
Yes.
Because, I know Basquiat, is that how you pronounce his name? But I don't know a lot of those other artists. So, but what a great lesson, no matter when it comes out, but I understand why you just said that. Yeah. Are they your favorites?
I like their work. I learned a bit more about some of them, things that I didn't know before. Wanting to be intentional about this platform and how we use it, and knowing that Syd is a creative. Whenever she is interested in something, I try to get behind it 110%, and educate her, expose her to things that encourage her, to let her know, someone has gone through this before you and they were really successful, and here's what they put out into the world, and you're taking a torch up and doing the same thing.
It's amazing. And it's amazing to, in the version of a children's book, to teach them about, 4 amazing artists. you know, we mentioned that it is Black History Month. I know that you celebrate that all year long, but is there something that you do or teach your children in this month?
I think, you know, COVID, the situation we find ourselves in, has made it a little challenging to kind of engage in some of the celebrations around the city, you know, at museums and parades and things like that, you know, different workshops. Those things I intentionally seek out during Black History Month.
Gotcha, great.
You know, just because it feels like more of a celebration. But one of the things that we do, you know, as I mentioned to you, we celebrated, you know, Black history all year long. Through little exercises like what I just shared. You know, if there's something my children are interested in, whenever an opportunity presents itself to share some knowledge or some information with them about, you know, American history, their history, who's done something like this before, who's doing something like this now, you know, where these perspectives come from, what these things mean. And it's been interesting, you know, I think I talk about it a little bit in my blog, just watching, you know, history play out. You know, I tell my kids they are Black history. We are Black history. You know, we are our ancestors' dreams right now. You know, being on this platform, being able to publish a book, knowing that we come from, you know, a legacy somewhere down the line, really not that far down the line, where it was illegal to read. And here we are writing and publishing books. So I never want them to lose sight of that.
I absolutely admire every word of what you said in this last part, because I've just never heard it explained that way. And I just love it. I think that what a great, I hope every, you know, parent takes that opportunity, black, white, green, yellow, when your child is interested in something, to explain how you're a part of that history, if you are, or how someone else not like you is part of, you know. I just think that is, I just have, you know, I'm not a parent, so I don't know, maybe every parent does that, but I admire that a lot. And I think that is a great way to, you know, teach children about the past in a very positive way, I think.
Yeah, thank you, Alan. You know, some of these lessons are more heavy than others, you know, but, you know, they have a perspective, a real perspective, you know, and
well, your 15-year-old and your 7-year-old are going to experience them differently or understand them differently too.
Absolutely.
So, well, I wish you the best of luck with the book. And I thank you both. Thank you so much for coming to visit.
Thank you for having us.
You're so welcome, everybody. Don't forget to check out the book, Hey Mama. Go to ricelovetree.com. Exactly. And keep following Syd the Kreative's journey. Come on, you got to smile and wave.
And wave.
So nice to meet you both.
Thank you, Alan. It was a pleasure. I appreciate it.
Pleasure. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks so much for watching today, everybody. Don't forget, pick up the book at Amazon.com. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, you can do so right below. Turn on the notifications so you're reminded of all the upcoming shows. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.